number 2. So we were asked to write the equation of the quadratic in standard form and vertex form. I'm going to do standard form first because it's actually a little bit easier. And so I want to remind you that what we're going to do is we are going to identify our x-intercepts and we are going to use reverse factoring. So our x-intercepts occur when y is equal to 0. So based off of those 2 points, I'm able to say that x is equal to a -2 or x is equal to a +5. I can then turn both of those into factors, and I now have x plus 2 and x minus 5. Those 2 factors then get multiplied together. X plus 2 times x minus 5 will give me a base quadratic, which is going to be x squared minus 3x minus 10. So now I'm looking at this x squared minus 3x minus 10. Now that x squared minus 3x minus 10 is my base quadratic. It has the right x-intercepts, but I need to double check to see if I have the right a value. So I can come over here and I can do y is equal to a, x squared minus 3x minus 10. And all I'm going to do is plug in some additional point that isn't one of the 2 I've just used. So I like plugging in 0, so I'm going to choose this one right here, and I'm going to plug in 0, -10. So I've got -10 is equal to a, and then that's a 0, that's a 0, that's a -10. And when I divide that -10 over, I get that a is equal to 1. So in other words, there is no a value, or the a value is just 1. And my base parabola up here, x squared minus 3x minus 10, is my whole quadratic. If I'd got a number for a -1, a 1/2, a 3, then I would have just plugged that number into my equation. So my standard form is going to just be x squared minus 3x minus 10. That is your standard form. Now, as a reminder to turn that standard form into vertex form, we complete the square. So I'm going to come over here, grab another pen, hopefully. Camera didn't fall. So I'm going to take my other pen right here. And we started off by putting parentheses around our x's. Once we do that, we would pull out the a value in front of our x squared, which there is none. So I'm going to take my -3. I'm going to do -3 divided by 2. And I'm just going to leave it like that. And then I'm going to square that -3 halves. And I get 9/4, which is the same as 2.25. Sorry. I just want to finish this one problem and then I'll get a better setup. So I get the 2.2. I don't trust this. I'm going to go for that and hope. Okay, 2.25. So if I've got my 2.25, I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Maybe. Anywho. So I take my 2.25. And that is a number that I need to add and subtract to balance my equation. So now I've got y is equal to x squared minus 3x plus 2.25 minus 10 minus 2.25. The number I add right here is a number I need to subtract so I do not change my equation. Remember that if we had pulled a number out in front of our parentheses, then this 2.25 would have to be multiplied by the number in front to get this number outside. Either way, I can take that parentheses, I can factor it on down, and so now I've got x minus 1.5. And then the minus 10 minus 2.5 is minus 12.25. And that should be, if I squared it, the same parabola in vertex form. So whenever you get a quadratic in standard form, we have the ability to turn it into vertex form by completing the square. I know I'm not showing all the steps per se, but that's partly because we've already seen this a couple weeks ago. So I'm hoping it's not too bad.